Oh, crying is great. Like for real. Like you see, I know it's crazy, but let's make crying cool.
Hello and welcome to Grind, Hustle, Repeat. I'm your host, Nee Odate Evans, and this is the show where we talk to creative entrepreneurs and discuss the ups and downs of their journeys, and hopefully by sharing, it provides guidance for others. Now, today's guest is royalty. Like, this is why I had to level up. I had to level up at the top, you know. Today's guest is royalty. He's commonly referred to as the King of Trainers. He's a social media and business consultant, also the creator of Footwear Jobs. My guest today on Grind, Hustle, Repeat is Franklin, King of Trainers Boateng. What's going on, sir?
Thank you. How you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm very well. I'm very well. You know what I'm loving is that we're both, like I was saying to you earlier on, I never wear red. Like I never wear red. And then I saw you wearing red. I was like, great.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's meant to be.
I'm in the company of greatness. How you been anyway?
It's meant to be. I'm well, man. I'm well. You know me. I've just been moving forward as best we can. You know, it's been up and down, but you know, still here, still grinding.
Good. So I'm gonna jump into this. Like, I'm not gonna lie, bruv. I am the furthest thing you can get from a sneakerhead. Like, I know nothing about trainers. Like the last time I bought, so this year, earlier in this year, I bought a pair of Air Maxes, right? And it's the last time that I bought a pair of Air Max, I didn't buy them. My mum bought them, just to give you an idea of how long ago.
Wow.
Like,
wow.
It's mad. It's like trainers has never been a thing. Like, so literally, this year I've got my. It's the first pair of Air Max that I've ever bought myself.
Wow.
In my early uni days, you know, I bust a couple of TNs. I actually kind of went a bit mad over the TNs, sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I had about 3 pairs of TNs, to be fair. I forgot about that. But it's like when I came out of uni, then that was it. What is it that got you into trainers? And what is the most you have ever paid for a pair of trainers? But let's start with what got you into trainers?
What got me into trainers? I mean, a lot of people didn't know. Like, it was actually my mum who got me into trainers. Wow. And it was kind of and it was really her love of sports. So she loved tennis. And around, when she loved tennis, Boris Becker was coming up in the 80s. He won his first Wimbledon championship. And then, coming from like the sport Ghanaians, anything that a sports person has, it's like the best, isn't it? So it's like he was wearing Puma at the time. And literally after he won the Wimbledon championship, my mum would go out. I remember she bought me what she thought was the Boris Becker Pumas at the time, a white and red pair of Pumas. And then that literally would just kind of steamroll. So every time we go shopping, I'll kind of be, Mum, oh, Boris Becker wears these. Obviously, she didn't know that I was trying to finesse to get the latest pair of trainers. And then she just literally, okay, they must be good. If a tennis player's wearing them, I think a lot of people don't understand that tennis back in the 80s, 70s, and all, for our parents, that was the sport. Like, a lot of people don't understand. A lot of culture in footwear comes from tennis. You know, that's why in America they say tennis shoes. And so anything that a tennis player would wear, my mum thought was the best thing. So she would then buy me lots of the tennis player shoes and stuff. And then in school, I would have what was called name brand stuff back then. So if you had a pair of name brand stuff, back in the 80s, you were quote unquote somebody. Do you get what I mean? So that's kind of what kind of led that journey. And then, I used to go to the States every year in the 90s, and I would get the latest pair of trainers, bring them back to the UK. And then that would kind of turn into that. And it was just a nickname. It was literally a playground nickname. It was like, oh, you're the King of Trainers. Like, it was never something like how it is now. It was just like a nickname. And it was very localized in North London where I grew up.
I'm going to come back to the King of Trainers name and the stuff around that. But I want you to go into a little bit more, because I know, was it, the whole year feels like a blur. Was it this year that you done the Alessi drop?
Yes, no. So yeah. So okay. Wow. So okay. So let me.
Because I
So
remember
you
you
asked.
speaking about your mum there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So okay. So with the less drop, that kind of came about because I was asked by a PR company called Gun Ho to consult with a bunch of other sneaker guys in the scene on a new pair of tanker shoe, like a tennis shoe that was coming out. Then I literally, they said, oh, when we got there, we done a conversation about the shoe, and a gentleman from the States came called Cali Vegas. He's a professor. He knows about trade. It's like his mind is just crazy when it comes to trainers. Then they said, oh, you guys can design your own pair. And I literally was sitting there like, how can I connect my history and the Leicester history and bring them together? And that was really, again, through the whole my mum. The reason being is back when Boris Becker did win his title, he had a dual deal, which was kind of new at the time, which he had a footwear deal with Puma, with a less. A lot of people don't know that. And when he won the championship in '85, he had a gold, like a less top. It was light blue and dark blue. And he so I actually done one shoe light blue, one shoe dark blue.
Yeah, I saw that.
To match the
the
top.
different color train laces as well.
The laces, yeah, the laces were gold to match the gold championship. So that's how that kind of came about. So I connected it and I dedicated the shoe to my mum. Unfortunately, COVID happened and it still hasn't dropped for the public yet. So yeah, so that's still pending. So I'm hoping that happens soon. So yeah, it's been a crazy year. This happened so I done the shoe last 2019. Then the launch for the shoe was February. Then it was supposed to come out a couple months after. Then COVID happened, and then so it's been mad. It's been crazy.
So and then earlier on, I was saying as well, what is the most you've because I was bulking at was it £115 that I paid for my Air Max?
Oh wow.
What's the most you've paid for a pair of shoes?
Honestly, I haven't. A lot of people think I've paid a lot of money, but I've been very privileged enough to get shoes at the time they come out. Gotcha. So I haven't had to pay big money for resale or all that. Do you get what I mean? So I would say the most I've spent is probably about £300, £350. Okay. I ain't spent crazy money. I've sold some shoes for crazy money. I've sold some shoes for like £2,000 above. Wow. But I haven't had to spend a lot of money on shoes, if I'm honest.
And how do you know, like, if I get this shoe, if I drop £300, say, on these pair of trainers, how do you know that in 5 years or whatever, that, I'm going to make a kind of return of about £2,000 or whatever?
Okay, so the key factors is sometimes you actually don't know. That's the honest truth. There's a few things that you can kind of assume, like if it's a collaboration, how rare the shoe is, what the shoe means, and those are the factors that you can assume that it will go up. Like for example, Kanye shoes go up because of the association to him. Virgil Abloh, Ghanaian designer, shout out Virgil. His shoes will go up because he's done so many significant things in the culture, and his shoes he does some good shoes as well. So his shoes the value goes up. But I mean, I've got some shoes that I would never wear, and they're more sentimental value. For example, I've got a signed pair of Spike Lee Jordan 4s from the Do the Right Thing film. Oh, wow. Do you get what I mean? So it's like those are sentimental things. I know that there's not many of those in the world, like probably less than 100 pairs, So, and to have him sign it and then have a picture of him, so those things are kind of more sentimental to me. You get what I mean? So value of shoes is crazy. Like now it's like a stock market.
Yeah, I've been seeing. So how many trainers do you own at the moment? Or?
I get asked this question a lot. The honest truth is it's all about quality, not quantity.
Gotcha.
I mean, I always say that. But I mean, just to give a ballpark, and I sold a lot of pairs. I sold a lot of pairs. I went through a hard time a couple of years, so I sold a lot of pairs. So I'll say 500 plus.
Wow.
Pairs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a size 11, so if you need to make space, like if you just send them over.
You know what? I'm a size 9. If you're a size 9, definitely I can hook you up. But we'll see. We'll see what we have in our store.
No worries. Now, you are actually like the epitome of what I term like grind, hustle, repeat. Like ever since I've known you, you're a hard worker. Like you know you're smart, and then you share as well. Like, so I just wanted to kind of get an idea behind how did you come up? Like, what made you this driven kind of what? And if there's a secret sauce to Franklin,
I mean, wow, that's a great question. I mean, like, okay, so my background is, you know, born and raised in Tottenham, and I came up in Tottenham when Tottenham was really Tottenham, like, you know what I mean? And I had a lot of people around me that was doing some crazy things, if you know, to kind of dumb it down a bit. And I was always about, how do we make money? Like, how do we make money? Like, instead of doing X this to make money, how can we just do legitimate businesses? Like, I was looking into stocks and shares at 16. You get what I mean? Like, I was looking at the merger between GlaxoSmith, Wellcome and SmithKline at 16. Like, you know, I was writing kind of investment plans at 21 for all my friends. Let's invest in property and all that sort of stuff. But I think what made me driven was seeing how hard my mum and dad used to work. Do you get what I mean? Like, my mum would work and come home and tired, and I was like, I never want to struggle like this. Like, you know, even though I believe that my parents provided everything for me, but it wasn't until I grew up and I was like, we were actually struggling. Like, it was a real hardship. Do you get what I mean? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, but you just don't know it because you're kind of in the moment. You're growing up with so many things, and I had a lot of things, but then I thought, nah, my mum and dad, they worked so hard to provide that for me. So that kind of drew me to kind of be like, you know what, whatever I do, I have to work hard. Like, I don't, you know, you've known me for a long time. I just work hard all the time. I don't even know the meaning of relaxing, and do you get what I mean? Like, you know, so
because I remember back in the days when we was doing Mental Excel, and then Franklin had his van, and you're doing the van business and this, that, and the other. And you had used to sell, like, buy and sell domains as well.
Yeah. So I used to I was a wheeler dealer. I've done everything like this. I don't think there's anything that I actually haven't done. But I used to buy and sell domain names. I used to own some really crazy expensive domain names, like everythingornothing.com. That I lost that name. This is a story, I don't think I've even said it anywhere really, apart from my students, like, I know this. So I owned a domain name called everythingornothing.com. This was like in about 98, 99. Like, I was up on domains early. We negotiated with Eon Productions. Eon Productions are the people who make James Bond.
Okay.
Everything or Nothing. So my friends, they used to be based in Buckingham Palace Road. My friend's dad used to have an office there, and they would have Eon 1, Eon 2, Eon 3 on their cars. So I knew they had money. So I bought Everything or Nothing. I said, yo, I'm going to buy this name. Bought Everything or Nothing. Like, I was a bit more quote unquote street at the time. So I got my sister to negotiate the deal with them. They said, yeah, we'd like to buy the .com. Offered me a substantial amount of money, enough to buy a Porsche, let's say, at those times.
Okay.
And then, like, literally they said, okay, come in at this time, we'll do the exchange, blah, blah. Literally about a week before we're going to go to do the exchange. Like, this was before people didn't understand about .com, .co.uk and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
They said, oh, it's all right, we bought a .co.uk now, we don't need a .com. I was like, yeah.
Oh, you always need the .com.
Yeah, I know, but obviously that's when .co.uk was new. People like, it was a crazy time. I mean, that domain was something like £50 a year. This is when domains were expensive.
Yeah.
So I had the domain. That crushed me, but that's not what this is the story is gonna get. It's gonna go a bit crazy. Is once they bought the .com, I thought, oh my God, like, I've messed up, blah, blah. So I left it. I was doing my uni. Then I look in the Source magazine. No, it was XXL at the time. A couple years after, and they had the video game Everything or Nothing, James Bond, Everything or Nothing, 007 for, I think, PlayStation or one of these things. So I was like, oh my God, I've got the domain name. Let me go and sell it to EA Games. I didn't know electronic. I didn't know. I was like, let me go and sell it. I go to the computer. It had lapsed by probably like a month.
Okay.
Back then, you get so much spam.
You don't get the notifications like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get it. I literally clicked onto www.everythingornothing.com. I saw who owned it, And guess who bought it?
Bro. Yeah.
Metro Going Mayor bought the .com. They licensed it as part of a package deal because they had bought the license. I think they had the license to James Bond at the time, and they licensed the name Everything and Nothing as part of a deal for 4 or 5 million or something stupid like that. I've been up like that. I ain't told no one that shit. Like I ain't told no one that. Yeah, that's a crazy. Yeah. People don't know that. People don't know that. Yeah, people don't know that. That's a.
How do you?
I told my students
That
once.
would
They
hurt.
literally.
That would hurt. But
yeah.
I mean, for some people though, like taking a quote unquote loss like that would be like packing it all in, gonna go get a job.
I know.
But did you was you ever at that point where you're like, forget all of this?
Nah, it made me sharper. It made me sharper. So now when I buy domain names and the way I teach and I'm buying everything, I'm making sure I get everything. I'm looking at how to kind of license, trademark. I'm looking at all the different, because I didn't know this stuff. Like I had to learn business the hard way, and it just made me sharp. It made me kind of look at things a little bit more deeper.
Yeah.
And obviously I was looking at it at very like, oh my God, I can make money in shallow. When my whole thing was, I just want to be a millionaire before I'm 30. That was my whole thing in life. That was my ultimate goal. When we used to go to I was like, how can I make a million? How can I make a million? And then like, everything I was doing was for money. Does that make sense? So
yes.
I was buying selling domains. I had the man and van business. What a lot of people don't know is when I was doing the man and van business, I had an installation company. So I used to install multi-gyms. I don't know if you remember that time. I used to install.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So that van that I had, I used to install multi-gyms, and that multi-gym installation company made me a lot of money. When I made a lot of money, I'd done a lot of investments in property, young. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so when I done the property thing, I think I bought my first place at 23 or 24 about that time. I bought a couple places in Southend. I was good property, and then literally I had a training studio
back in that time. That must have been cheap.
Oh, it was. We done all right. We're doing all right on it. Like, I mean, but I'll be honest. This is grind, hustle, repeat. So I got to tell people, man, the whole buying, renting, it's not as easy as everyone thinks it is. Do you know what I mean? It's not Holmes and the Hammer type of easy. Do you get what I mean? We struggled with that, and and I bought a few places, and then, oh my God, when it came to the credit crunch, like literally everything fell down, man. Like, my tenants, at that point I had about 4 or 5 places. My tenants weren't paying their rent. I was, one of my best friends went to prison for self-defense. I was just going through so many different things, like, and I literally crashed. Like, I had to go, like my van's mashed up. I had a business in Ghana that went belly up. So I literally went unemployed. I said, look, I'm going to stop. I'm going to take a break. Went unemployed, went to the job center, signed on it. And I said, look, I need to pay. So then I showed all my creditors, look, this is my position, and I literally just, and a lot of people don't know, I nearly went bankrupt. Like I nearly went completely, my ex-girl at the time, we split up, everything just exploded, like for me. And I just had to start again, so this was about 2009, 2010. Between 2008 and 2010 was crazy time. So
what was that like, having to kind of start again?
Yeah, I literally had to start again.
What was that like? What was that like?
It was I mean, I've never been one to kind of just be knocked down and stay down. I've always looked at alternatives. Like, I was quote unquote what you call a broke millionaire. So I had probably $1 million in property, but I had no money. Like I was literally just, do you know what I mean? And I've said to myself, how can I learn something that is gonna be the test of time? Like it will supersede property or supersede thing. And then I looked back at one of my loves, which was technology and social media and stuff like that. And I just sat down and I said, I got to create something. I got to do something in this space that is residual in a way that, like, I don't have to worry about this and that. So I just spent a couple of years just focusing and learning about social media, the digital age, how the internet makes money. And then I built my social network, Fabs Network.
Yeah.
Fabs Network. You know, because all of these scandals about the internet making how people's data and all that, I knew that 10 years ago. Do you get what I mean? Like, that's what I was learning about, how Facebook actually really make money. You know, so that's when I remember you came to my first
I was literally just about to Tottenham Court Road.
Tottenham Court Road, yeah. My first, that was a 4 hour. I remember 4 hour seminar. Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Right, man.
That was like nearly 10 years. I was like 10 years. Like, nearly 10. I think 2012. So about that. And literally I started to learn it. And what I did is I learned it and taught it. And literally I was learning, teaching, and building up what I was doing, and it kind of worked out. You know, so
brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. What would you say has been like the key to your entrepreneurship? Like, because you know, you spoke a lot about going through adversity, and each time you've gone through that adversity, like I said before, for somebody else that would have been like that's it. But what do you think has been like the key for you?
Do you know, believing in myself, man? Believing in myself. Like, there's been times, like, I mean, obviously there's times when you feel that like everything's gonna crumble, like, do you get what I mean? But I've never given up. Like, I've been relentless. I've been relentless. Like, you can, and that's the thing, like, ever since you've known me, I've always been active. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, even in my down times when people thought I was on my face, or I was always active. Do you get what I mean? And I never really kind of I know it's sad, because as men, we tend not to kind of show that we're vulnerable. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. And I think sometimes that strength of me just be continuing and not letting people see that I'm vulnerable and I'm struggling. It somewhat helped me, because then people gave me opportunities thinking that, oh, you must be doing well anyway. Do you get what I mean? Because I never stopped. I never kind of just gave in, if that makes any sense. Yeah. So
it's interesting what you're saying about the vulnerability thing, because I was speaking, Mikey J. Asante, the producer, music producer.
Yes, Mikey J. I know Mikey, yeah.
I was speaking to Mikey, and again we were talking about vulnerability and people not being able to see, like, a man being vulnerable. And we spoke about being able to cry, and times where we cried and let it out. And I think especially with the younger lot today, I'm not sure, and I wish that they could really understand the importance and how cathartic it is just to cry sometimes.
Oh, crying is great. Like, for real. Like, you see, I know it's crazy, but let's make crying cool. Like, let's find a way to make crying cool. Like, let's try it, because people don't understand, like, let me share something with you. I grew up crazy. My best friend got murdered at 15. Like, my friends who I went to school with turned on me. They tried to set me up to get robbed. Like, I had a very crazy child. A lot of people don't know about the street stuff. Like, I had a crazy life. Even though I was, always happy and friendly, I went through so much stuff. And some of the things that got me through it was just shedding tears. Just being able to allow myself to be vulnerable and just cry. And the kind of stress relief you get from just crying and just being like, okay, I need to cry to let this out. You get what I mean? Because as men, and especially as Black men, we're always taught not to be emotional. Don't share things in front of your girl. Don't let people see that you're crying. You get what I mean? But I mean, crying has got me through so much, man. If I didn't cry and just let the emotions out, I probably wouldn't even be here. I'll be mad. I would have just lost it by now. You know what I mean?
It's so important. Even like with the year that we've just had, I was saying to you at the beginning of the lockdown, that my video production business, I just started it like this time last year. And at the beginning of the year, things were looking amazing. Like, I had clients on retainer.
Yeah.
There was so many projects on the pipeline, and I'm like, you know, at the beginning of the year, everyone's like, 2020 is going to be my year. I was like, yo, it's really going to be my year though. Like, it's popping. And then, you know, we get to February, March, and things start locking down, and one by one, the retainers go, bye, see you later. And then I'm like, okay, so there's nothing really, nothing really left. So I remember one day taking the boys to the park. They were on their bikes, I was walking, and all of this stuff is just going around in my mind, like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And then I just like had a moment of, and I can't even say it was this or it was that. There was just all of this stuff going around in my head, and then bang, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be all right. I don't know how. I don't know what it is that I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna be all right. And slowly but surely, things started to pan out in this year, and this year kind of turned out to still be like one of the best years I've had. But one of the things that has been constant in this year, I say two things that have been constant in this year for me, is meditation, and then when I feel the need to cry, I will cry. Take that moment out and let it go. Talking about this year, 2020, everything that's gone on, how has that affected your businesses, but also like yourself as well, like your psyche, your mentality?
Oh man, I mean, it's the same. I mean, when it first started, like I was on a high. Like my shoe launch was, I had my award show in January. My shoe launch was February. I was supposed to do an event in March. I was going ham. This year I set it up so well that it was gonna be crazy. But then, you know, when March came and then our event in March got cancelled, that's when I realized, because the day they announced the whole lockdown was actually the day our event was supposed to, 26th of March. I remember that's the day our event was actually supposed to happen. And that really just hit me. I was like, oh man, like, you know, and, you know, a couple of the people I consult for, the brands I consult for, they were like, we're going to have to stop this, or we're going to have to make this half or a quarter of what you get. And I'm looking at the spectrum and I'm looking around and I'm like, whoo. But I mean, I've done okay with like saving in different precious metals. So I cashed in a lot of those. And then I just sat back and I also said to myself, I'm going to be okay. So I then got to work, you know, I started to write, and I wrote my first book.
Oh, wow.
I've written 3 books over lockdown. Yeah, 3 books.
Tell me about this book.
Yeah, so my first book was, I always get asked, how do you become an influencer and all that sort of stuff. So my first book was how to get free stuff from brands. It's you know, it's an audio book and a written book. The audio book's available now on Spotify. Just type in Franklin Boateng, you can hear, you know, and it's literally what I did to get free stuff from brands. It literally is a step-by-step guide of what you do on social media to get free stuff from brands, because that's what people want, free stuff, obviously, you know. And there's some gems in there, how to get paid, how to conduct yourself with PR companies and stuff like that, you know. And then I wrote another book, how to make money online. And that's literally 10 different ways to make money online. And then I wrote another book, Build a Legacy or Die Trying, which is talking about a bit about all the different businesses I've had and stuff like that. So, you know, I just went to work, and I mean, like yourself, like it has been one of my best years, like in terms of business and stuff, and it's been incredible. Yeah,
that's amazing. I'm gonna definitely check out those books.
Thank you.
One of the things I know it's a well documented story in terms of like your title, the King of Trainers, and you having to fight for that right of being the King of Trainers. Like, would you say that was a defining moment in your career, or would you say it was something else?
Yeah, no. So I mean, when the internet era came, because like the King of Trainers name is a crazy thing, because it was always a nickname, you know, and it was always localized to myself and my friends, you know. And I mean, even like when I used to come to you lot's parties back in the day, you know, I had fly stuff, and it was always but it was never, I never would kind of project it like, oh, I am this person. I never used to be like that. I was just, my friends they're teasing me about it, and it was like that. So when the internet came around, I remember registering the Twitter. I bought the domain names, the King of Trainers and stuff, and I registered the Twitter. You know, I actually bought one of the domain names back in '99, and then I let it lapse and all that, and you know, and then I revisited it, bought the Twitter, and then I was you know, I didn't have a big following on Twitter. I was just talking about trainers. It's my little thing I have, and shout out Dale. He said he said, and that's on Impossible Nothing. Nike own Just Do It. Why doesn't JD Sports speak to the original King of Trainers? And then added us into the tweet. I remember JD at the time, back when Twitter started, if you had like 20,000 followers, you were massive, or you 10,000 followers, you were big back then. Like, it was like, oh my God, you know, and it literally was like me with my couple hundred, and they were attacking me. Like, who do you think you are? You know, and what people don't know is they used to use it in the 90s, you know, and they stopped using it around 2003, I think. And they went with best of the best. So a lot of people didn't know that. That they had it as a kind of tagline, you know, and I had it very locally. There's never, I'm not international.
Yeah.
So we went back and forth on Twitter. They then blocked me. About 2 weeks later, they sent me a legal cease and desist. Yeah, they sent a legal cease and desist saying I've broken trademark, etc., etc. But what people don't know is there's certain things in terms of IP that if you've, like, for example, you can call yourself a name, like, since you're a kid, and if you've got proof that that's your nickname, you have the rights to it. Like, people don't know there's certain like gray areas in law. So you know, they were like, you know, if you don't give us back the name, we're gonna take you to court, blah blah blah. I said, look, can we work together? They said no. Then I found their lawyers. Within a week, I learned everything there is to know about trademark law.
Yeah.
And I found all these different grey areas and stuff. And I literally came on the phone, a female lawyer, and she was like, I said, hi, it's King of Trainers on the phone. She was like, you can't say that, you know, just getting at me. Like, it was crazy.
The lawyer and introduced yourself as
yeah. I said, it's King of Trainers. Yeah.
Take that.
Yeah. And I think with me, I didn't like being bullied. I've never been one to bully, and I stand up against all of that. So I felt bullied. I felt attacked, the way they came at me. But they're just language. They're scared. That's how lawyers do. Like, people don't understand. And literally, I just was on the phone to her, and she said, you can't say that. I said, actually, I can. And I started spitting law, like, straight. This is this. She was like, oh, because obviously they thought like, oh, they sent it to, you know, it's funny because they sent it to my parents' house, because that's how long ago I had the name. It was like years ago. And they thought, oh, we've sent it to a place in Tottenham. He's probably some young kid or whatever. And I literally just spun her on the phone. She was confused. She was like, oh, but you know that they own this company and that company and this. And I was like, look, I just want a fair shot. She was like, oh, who's going to defend you in court? I said, I'll defend myself. She couldn't believe it. She was like, that doesn't happen. People don't do stuff like that, you know, in this world. So I just said, yeah, I'll defend myself. She was like, wow, like, you know, and I mean, after that conversation, it took about maybe 2-3 months to get me another letter. And they said kind of like, they're closing the case. I'm kind of free to kind of do what I want. And that's when I then took the moniker to that step further. Yeah. And then I would go to a lot of events dressed up with a crown and a robe. And that's how the kind of personality came out, you know. Before then, I'll just keep it very quiet. I'll just do my thing, you know, wear bits and people will see it. But then that's when the real personality came out, and then it just skyrocketed from there, you know. But shout out JD. I mean, we work together now. Like, I just finished a campaign with them, you know. Yeah. You know, we just finished the Nike sportswear campaign for them. You know, so look, I ain't got nothing but love. Like, I'm free to work with anyone. You know, I'm not with the fighting.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. I mean, look, this is it though. It's like sometimes you can get into something, and because you're so immersed in it, you think this is it. This is the end of the world. If somebody had said to you at the time, Franklin, don't worry, it's going to work out. In years to come, you'll be working with JD. You'll be like,
nah.
what you're talking about.
I couldn't see it. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but
I wouldn't have seen it. I wouldn't have seen it at all.
Absolutely. What would you say has been the best advice that you've ever been given?
Wow. I know. Okay, so this is going to be crazy. I remember when I was younger, and you know, I'll get myself into trouble. My mum said to me, and I remember, I think I was like 7 or 8, and we we're playing Knockdown Ginger or something, and then one of the parents came to my house, and they said, you know, they told my mum and all that, and my mum came to the side. She said, Franklin, a lot of things are going to happen in your life, but what you should remember is people will bring you down, so don't trust anybody. And I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough, mum. And then my mum said something that just stuck with me. She said, don't even trust me. And I was like, whoa. I was like, mum. I was like, but like, I was so confused. But I think what my mum was gearing me up for was how cold the world can be. You get what I mean? Like, for your old mum to tell you at like 8 years old and trust her, it's like, that would do something to you that it'll mess with your mind.
Yeah.
But when I tell when we discuss it now, my mum, I understand what she was saying. She was really preparing me for life. Like life is going to hit you in a way where you think everything's going to be cool and rosy, and then someone's going to just, do you get what I mean? You know, and it's you know, it's a situation where like you just have to be kind of really focused and just be like kind of have a shield, like a real armor on you, you know, because you're gonna get hit with stuff. So I would say that's the best advice I've been given. It's a bit harsh, but
no, you know what, I totally understand what mummy was saying. Like recently, one of my sons at school, a child said to him, we don't want to play with you because you're black. And he came back and that's another story. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
And he came back, told us what happened. Well, no, the teacher told us what happened when I came to pick him up. And so when we got home, I'm talking to both of them and asking him how he feels about the situation. And he just kind of shrugged it off, and he's just like, this person's stupid anyway because he said X, Y, and Z. Now, the thing was this, is that I was probably more upset than he was, just because it's your child, whatnot have you. But we had already had that conversation with both of them, that actually this is some of the stuff that you are going to encounter in the world. And I remember like having that conversation was one of the hardest things, because it's your child and you want to wrap them up in cotton wool, and you want to protect them as much as possible. But actually the best thing that you can ever do for your child is to show them what the world really is, and then give that context. So for me, it's like, you're going to go out in the world and people are going to be, some people are going to be really shitty. Yeah. But the thing that you always know is that here in this house, you're surrounded by love and whatnot have you. So I think it's so important to know. And even I remember talking to my sister when she was a lot younger, saying like how something had happened, I can't remember what, and it was some advice that I was giving her, and I was like, I will say stuff to you that you won't like, and you'll think that I'm being horrible, but I'm not. I'm telling you because I care about you. You see what I'm saying?
Indeed.
And so sometimes when you care about someone, you can't dress stuff up. You just got to be like, this is what it is. This is what. So I get it. I get the motive behind what your mum, and thinking about everything that you've just said throughout the course of this interview is like, actually, that surely has played a part in you being able to, go against, like deal with the adversities that life has brought you. Wrapping up,
Indeed.
Like, obviously you're a father as well. What advice would you give to, like, I would say, maybe your son at 16 or a young Franklin back at 16? What advice would you give? Yeah,
and that's a great question. I mean, my advice is, because sometimes you don't want to over advise people, like, because you need kids to, not kids, just as you're growing, you need to have some form of challenge. I feel that I remember, like, my son is 6 years old, and he's he doesn't live in the surroundings I grew up in. Yeah. And I remember at 5 years old, me and my sister can walk to school. Do you get what I mean? And it was normal, it was calm. Do you get what I mean? It was like, it was standard, like we just walked to school. My son is 6. I can't even imagine him walking to school by himself. Like, I can't even, do you know what I mean? It's like, I can't even, yeah. But then you have to understand, like, times change. And I feel the advice that I can give him is times change and things change, and through change you have to adapt. Do you get what I mean? Like, if I didn't adapt to, I had one set of businesses, then I had this set of business, and I've always adapted. Like, throughout my whole life, I've never kind of stayed stagnant, but you always have to adapt, and you can't really focus on, I have to stick at this thing, and if it's, you got to be smart, like, because there's some businesses that if I stuck at it, I would just be dead now. Do you get what I mean? Like, so you have to adapt, and if something's not working, move on, give it a go, don't get me wrong, but then move on and do something else. But always be adaptable, and never stop learning. That's
some solid advice. Resilience. Resilience is very important, man. Bro, I have really enjoyed speaking with you. Like,
thank you.
I said this also to Mikey when I was chatting to him. Like, a part of the reason for doing this is, like, on a really selfish level, just being able to sit down with people like yourself, people that I look up to, people that I respect.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Because there's things that you said. I mean, how long have we even known each other? But there's things that,
about 20, nearly 20 years, I think. Yeah, it's about that. Yeah.
And so even when you was talking about with your best friend and all of that stuff, like, that's stuff that I never knew until this moment. So it's like, I really enjoy being able to sit down and have these conversations, because we see each other, we're like, yeah, cool, but being able to actually chop it up like this is, for me, I find it quite invaluable. But then also the thing of them putting this out there and sharing it, and somebody else could watch this, and no doubt there will be something that they will take away from it. And for me, that's where the real value lies and everything. So thank you very much.
No, thank you, man. I really appreciate you asking me. I value what you're doing. And man, just keep grinding, man. You've got a very beautiful and supportive family, and it's just wonderful to kind of see your growth and what you're doing and what your missus is doing and stuff, like. So God bless you both, and just keep going, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you. For everybody listening, thank you for listening, watching. You can follow us on our Instagram, #GrindHustleRepeat_. Franklin, what's your socials?
Okay, so you can follow me at Franklin Boateng, Boateng. That's my surname. Or if you love trainers and footwear, at King of Trainers. Or if you in business, just Google me, Franklin Boateng, and you'll see a lot of stuff that I've done. So
even as you said that, one of the other things that I wanted to talk about, we didn't get to, was the whole but that just gives me an excuse to arrange another
to do another part 2.
Definitely. Listen, indeed. Take care. Thank you very much, and we will definitely catch up soon, man. Peace.
No, thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks.